Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer, sitting outside enjoying the soon-to-be fall weather, and with it I've got a beer that is big and malty and sort of sweet to go along with the cooler months that are coming up. This is my version of a Scotch Ale, and in this program we have coming up something to pair with this big and fairly sweet beer, something that is really spicy and hot and delicious. So stay tuned for that. But first of all, I want to talk to you about this beer. It's a 9.7% alcohol. It's got low hopping, low carbonation, and it finished fairly high at 10.16. So it's big and malty, and it's got kind of a raisiny character to it. Not as much as, say, a Belgian double, but pretty sweet and malty and really good. Let me talk to you about how I brewed it. First of all, I started off with 20 quarts of water in the pot at 159 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 19 liters at 70.5 C. To that, I added 8 pounds or 3.6 kilograms of American two-row and 2 ounces or 56 grams of roasted barley. And that's to give kind of a head start on the kind of caramely character that we want out of this beer. By the way, this is a 2-gallon batch, and after that I used a brew in a bag technique. So I just pulled out the bag and I squeezed the bag of grain to squeeze out as much wort as possible, and then I started my boil. My pre-boil volume was about 4.5 gallons or 17 liters, and to that, as the boil started, I added 1 ounce or 28 grams of Fuggle hops. Now, to get the caramely character and to get the high gravity that we want to start for this beer, I boiled for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, the wort was darker and thicker. And so my starting gravity, I went from pre-boil gravity was 1042, and the original gravity going into the fermenter was 1088. And I used a packet of Saf Ale US-05 hydrated to start the fermentation. And I fermented in this. If you watched our previous episode, you'll recognize this. It's all covered up to keep it away from what little sunlight we have today. This is a 3-gallon fermenter that I found at our local hardware store. It had drinking water in it. Now it's got a sour worting experiment that I'm doing for the next episode, so stay tuned for that. This was the Scotch Ale was fermented in this, and it's great for a style that I hadn't brewed before that's big and high gravity. I wanted to make sure that I had the recipe dialed in. It's a lot easier and safer and cheaper to go with a smaller volume to test out the recipe, and I like this quite a bit. So what do you need with a big, malty, sort of sweet, raisiny beer? What balances that? How about habanero hot sauce? Our friend Ed Nicholson has been growing his own habaneros in his garden for many years and has developed a recipe from scratch for the best hot sauce, commercial or otherwise, that I've had. And we're going to show you, Steve Wilkes is going to help out in the kitchen. We're going to show you how to make it, and it's super easy and super good and the perfect thing to pair with this beer.
All right, so we're here with my good friend Ed Nicholson. Ed is a great guitar player. If you ever get a chance to hear him play, you really need to.
Well, thank you, Steve.
And you are a hot sauce maestro, in my opinion.
I make hot sauce.
You make hot sauce, and you're going to teach us how to make your recipe today.
Such as it is.
All right.
Okay.
Tell us what you're going to do.
Okay. So one year I found myself with an abundance of habanero peppers in my garden, and didn't know what to do. And I went to a Mexican restaurant, and they had some sauce, and it said, you know, it has habanero peppers, carrots, garlic, onion, and lime, and vinegar. And I thought, I could do that. And so, so I just started experimenting. And so we're going to throw all of those things together in a pot, and we're going to simmer it, and then we're going to blend it up, and we're going to have a sauce at the end of it.
Awesome. Let's just see what we do.
Okay, so we're going to start out with the carrots and the garlic and the onion, because they'll tend to take a little bit longer to cook. You know, I try to get these carrots just pretty thin, you know, because ultimately, you know, you're going to have to get them soft. And I don't have a recipe, you know, because as I said, I'm a gardener, and these things sort of come off at different times in the garden. So one week, you know, you might have a quart, and the next week you might have 2 or 3 gallons. And so, but you're going to see that it doesn't really matter that much because these guys are the star of the show.
Absolutely.
All right. So you know they're going to their flavor is going to sort of dominate everything, and all this stuff in here is put in just for sort of texture and color, adds a little bit of flavor, but you know it's the peppers that really carry the whole thing. And I've done it 100 different ways, and I would encourage everybody who wants to try this. You can't screw it up. You know, it's just really easy to make, and just get in there and start experimenting with it. So here we go. We got the peppers in here. We're gonna put them in we got about a 4 or 5 quart stock pot right there. You know, and we're gonna throw those in. We're gonna put a little vinegar in there first, okay?
Now, do you use just white distilled vinegar?
I use white vinegar. You can use, you know, you can use apple cider vinegar. I wouldn't use balsamic.
No.
But you know, just what we got here. We got about a quart. This is a half-gallon container, so we're gonna put enough in to sort of. Let's just put the whole thing in, okay?
I like how you cook.
All right, so you know, the deal is at the end of the process, you'll see that it's not that critical how much you put in because you're going to just use what you need. Okay. So, and then we'll cut the garlic up a little bit. You really don't have to do that. It just makes it cook a little faster. If you got the time to let it simmer, you know, you can cut this stuff a little thicker, and then just a little bit of onion in there. So, okay. So we had about a half of a good sized yellow onion, and you can use white onion if you want. I've used both. Again, the onion is, and there are probably chefs out there reeling in horror as I do this the wrong way, but you know, let's go that way. Okay. Now,
does the carrot add any sweetness to the recipe?
It does a little bit. It does a little bit. But you know, these guys are pretty sweet. They've got a sweetness to them, kind of sweet, citrusy. That's the thing I really like about habaneros. I was at a conference one time, and I ran across a Latino guy, and I said, I make habanero sauce, and he said, habanero. He corrected me. And apparently, the use of the nye is a sort of a hyper-foreignization. But anyway, so maybe just a little more.
So you really just eyeball it every time?
Eyeball it, yeah. And so you can look in there and see. We just got a little onion. We got that much carrot. That's 1 carrot, and we're going to end up with about a quart of you know, sort of a lightly packed quart of peppers. Okay, so we might start that. You know, we might go ahead and start that just to sort of let it get going. We're going to add a little bit of salt to that. Okay, I would say for this much, you know, that's going to be, you know, maybe a quarter, half a teaspoon. We're going to put some lime in. That also adds, you know, that sort of salt flavor too. Okay. Okay, so this is the most time-consuming part of the whole process. Is preparing these things, and what I do is cut the seed pod out of it. The seeds are where the heat really is, and sort of it makes it smoother if you cut the seed pods out of it. But it really is time consuming. Always important to wear these gloves because these things have this capsaicin in them, and it will, you know, it will get on your skin and in under your skin, and you know, I guess they use it for arthritis treatment, but you know, unless you're doing that, you probably want to wear these things because you'll feel it for a long time after. I might also add that, you know, watch where you're cutting this stuff because these things will leave some residual, you know, heat around whatever it is. Okay. So what I do is typically cut the cap off, and then I'll make a slit, you know, down the side, and then I'll, you know, fold it open like this, and then just pull that seed pod out of there. Okay. Okay. You know. And so you can throw the whole thing in the pot. I usually keep a bowl, so you can throw the whole thing in the pot. Sweet. You know, it takes a little while. So you see, I'll do it again. You know, but cut it down the side, open it up, That one's a little funky looking, but you know, you can pull all that stuff off of there.
Sure.
So there you go. Throw it in. Okay, this is a different variety here. This is called a red pepper lantern. These are all part of the capsicum family, which includes all the hot peppers are capsicum peppers, and it's jalapenos, habaneros, Scotch bonnets. You know, and these right here, these are the new variety called Carolina Reapers, and they're the hottest pepper around. These guys have about 200,000 to 300,000 Scoville units, which is the sort of the measurement of heat that they use. This is supposed to have about 1.5 million. The ghost pepper has about 1 million. So,
well, there you go.
I'm experimenting with these right now, but we won't try those today because I don't have enough of them in the first place yet. We're early in the season here. So we'll do a few more of these just to see how it goes. Typically, if you're doing, if you have a big batch, I'll have as many as 200 or 300 of these peppers.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and can make a big pot, and we'll do one more of these. So okay.
So how many, more or less, how many peppers will you do for this batch?
Oh, I think probably 50 probably.
Okay.
We're going to have a loosely packed quart approximately of peppers that have been had their pods, seed pods taken out of them.
Now, do we have to consider just the vapors coming off of this? Do we need?
It gets pretty strong. You want a well ventilated kitchen, and so I would say if James has something to cook with outside, we ought to
probably a good idea.
Take it on out. And but if you have a ventilator, a good hood, you can. I make mine inside. So, but you have to have a tolerance for that sort of thing.
There you go. Alrighty. All right, so here we come. I feel like I'm in the hazmat unit.
Fortunately, we have a beautiful day in the Ozarks here.
Boy, that's no kidding. So here we are. We've got all of our chilies in here, our peppers. Whoa!
So that's about a packed quart of peppers that have been de-seeded, mostly.
Yeah. So now we're going to bring this up to a simmer and then let this all just get nice and happy and mushed up together and soft. Okay.
Just, the thing about it just needs to get soft. So it'll take 30 minutes. I usually, we can do 30 today, but I'll usually, if I got time, let it do an hour. Just, put a lid on it so you won't, you won't lose your liquid.
All right.
But
I wasn't sure if you actually that was a question. I wondered if it needed to reduce.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. We're good to go. I think we need to have a beer.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so Ed, this has been simmering now for about an hour.
It has.
And so it's nice and soft. So what's next?
Okay, so you let it cool because it's important. If you're going to put it in the blender, it's got a rubber gasket and you don't want to get that too hot. And then I get a slotted spoon and just start spooning it in. I typically will do this over the sink just because it's easier to clean up, but for the sake of this filming, we're going to do it this way. Start spooning it in. And when we're looking for a consistency that's got, it's got enough of the liquid around it. We're probably going to end up with a little bit more. Let's see. Let's go. We're going to get a lot of this. Okay. That's about the consistency that I'm looking for right there. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and finish this off, and then we'll blend it. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we have it in the blender now, and what I like to do is put a little bit of lime on it just to finish it off. At this stage, because that lime has got some freshness to it, you don't want to cook that, but it really does enhance sort of the citrus sweet part of the whole sauce. And I think it really, could play a role in sort of keeping it fresh. And so we're going to squeeze that lime in there, like that. Okay, put the cap on. And then maybe start off slow because it has a tendency to kind of pop up real good. We'll start at the slowest speed here. All right. Then we're going to increase the speed as we go, just so it won't pop up there. All right. Okay, so that's been blending for a couple of minutes now, and you can see that's nice. And
Oh, it's beautiful.
got a great consistency about it.
Yeah.
We're going to pour a little bit out into this little tiny bowl here.
Yeah.
We're going to sample a little bit of it. What do you think
Absolutely.
about that? Okay.
Well, I think we should do that. And, you know, we need to use our Basic Brewing. You've seen this before, I'm sure. Our Basic Brewing bottle opener. It's wonderful. And we've got the Scotch Ale that James brewed to pair with this. So a nice malty kind of sweet beer, I think.
Okay.
Oh, my. This isn't as heavy as most Scotch Ales. It's a wee heavy. No, wait, it's not a wee heavy. Wait. That's for you, sir.
Okay. A little bit of
All right.
sauce there. And,
Can't wait. Cheers.
Cheers.
Little Scotch Ale.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, James. A little hot sauce.
All right.
Man, that's good.
It worked.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Holy cat. It's got, oh man, that heat is nice. I get a little sweet out of it. I do pick up a little of that lime.
yeah. So that's the nice thing about those habanero peppers is they've got flavor. They don't just have that heat. They've got
Right.
nice flavor and sweetness, citrusy thing going on.
Boy, it doesn't take much of that.
No. So we'll
It's not for the faint of heart.
we'll pour it off, you know, into your favorite bottle, and
So it doesn't really matter what we pour it into necessarily, as long as you can keep it airtight.
Exactly. And you know, I keep this in the refrigerator. I don't know that you necessarily have to, but I think it just stays fresher if you keep it in the refrigerator. And one thing about it, if you bottle this a little bit warm, you know, it may separate after a couple of hours.
Okay.
A couple of good shakes, and it's gonna combine again. It probably won't separate again.
Oh, okay.
Just that cooling down may cause it to separate a little bit, but it'll be fine after that. You're good to go.
Yeah, this was just wonderful. I really like this recipe a lot. It's so simple. I like how you can just kind of play with the ratios of things. You can make it as thin or as thick as you like. You can make it as hot as you like.
Get out there and experiment.
I'm assuming you could experiment with some, if you didn't like quite so much heat, you could experiment with some peppers that were sweeter. So thank you
You're
very
not
much,
going to
sir.
mess it up. Okay, and good beer.
Absolutely, James is a hell of a brewer.
All right.
Cheers.
Come and visit us on the web. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, Introduction to Wine Kits, and our Basic Brewing Brewer's Logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to James at basicbrewing.com, Steve at basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.
Yeah.